Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Kettle YouTube channel. In this video, we will project the Finnish squad for the 2025 Nuorten-MM, or IIHF World Junior Championship in Ottawa. With the tournament in just 4 months' time, it is time to see what Finland could bring to the table. As a prospect scout for Finnish hockey, I get to see these players develop from the under-16 leagues to this point. It helps to see them play throughout the year and then make a judgment based on statistics and style of play for who makes the team and who does not. That said, Lauri Mikkola and the management of this team have very difficult decisions to make, but if I were in their shoes, here are the 23 players that I would currently give a chance to play in Ottawa during the holiday season. We will go through each line one by one, and I will also give my reasoning for how some of these lines work. Before we begin, we must go through the players that will not be making the cut for this 2025 tournament. Some are just another year of development before being given another chance, and others are decent, but there are talents that have proven more of their worth with the team's tactical system, and so these ones did not make the Leijonat. We will begin with the goaltenders, and the two most notable omissions from the goaltending side are Veeti Lohivaara and Vesa Vedenpää. Lohivaara, the 146th overall pick in the Jersey Devils at the 2024 NHL Entry Draft, played for UP's under-20 side last season, recording a 13-6-0 record over 21 games with a 2.87 goals against average and an .890 save percentage. He has had 2 chances with the Leijonat, losing in both and with a 4.08 goals against average. It can easily be seen why he would be missing his place. He is good to cover shots on one half of the net, but is relatively weaker on the other, even with his okay use of the blocker, and teams like the United States, who Finland will be playing in the group stage of this tournament, exposed that weakness even more. On 4 of the Americans' 5 goals in their meeting at the World Junior Summer Showcase, they were left side, his right, that being the side of the blocker, and the last 2 were related to his movement from post to post, which also needs significant improvement. The Americans figured out how to defeat Lohivaara in 1 period, and that could mean trouble down the road at this tournament. The only way that this could be fixed is if his club side UP heavily trains him with regards to post-to-post movement, but that would take quite a lot of time, and it may not be enough for this tournament. The good news is, however, that he is eligible for the 2026 tournament, so he will likely be a starter or backup there. It is his academies that need to work on a few things in order to get him to the level that Finland needs, though. Vedenpää would not be able to play the 2026 tournament, and unfortunately is a 50-50 chance of making this team because he shows promise in a few regards, yet had absolutely disappointing performances at the Summer Showcase when Finland really needed him to succeed against other teams within their group. Against the United States, his results were mixed as he played the USA White team and only lost 3-2, then defeated the Americans 5-3 2 days later, but his performance against Canada was just sad to watch. He got a taste of how Canada is going to play at this tournament and just could not manage it well, but it was not entirely his fault, as there were quite a few odd man rushes when the Finns were playing what was easily a high back line without too much man-to-man defensive play. Finland needs a goaltender that can stop shots the way that netminders like Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen did back in the day, able to read the 2-on-1 and reach out when necessary, but we did not see enough of that from Vedenpää to say that he could even be in a backup spot on this under-20 team. He could have a fantastic start to the season in Liiga with Karpat, should they decide to start him for quite a few games. I would not be surprised if the Oulu side figures out what needs to improve in this regard and work on that, so the door is not completely closed on his opportunity to make this team. He has some experience at the senior level in Mestis already, starting 15 games for Hermes and finishing with a 9-6-0 record, 2.97 goals against with an .898 save percentage. That is impressive by itself. He is very promising and could still have a spot in the final roster, but he is someone that management would make more of a final decision on in late November or early December. For now, though, I picked another Seattle goaltending prospect who will be mentioned later. Mitja Jokinen, Jimi Jonkari, and Niko Korkala are the 3 notable names that would be missing this tournament on the defensive side. Jokinen was probably the most difficult omission from these 3, as his point totals in Finland's recent under-20 friendlies were decent, 3 assists in 6 games. He was also a .5 point per game scorer in the under-20 SM Sarja with TPS, finishing with 6 goals and 21 points in 41 games, but here is the truth. Finland needs a defense that exists. Finland needs more defensive-minded defensemen to some degree, players that can cut off opposing opportunities, and while his passing is decent and he would be a versatile option there are players like Emil Pieniniemi and Aron Kiviharju that can manage that better than Jokinen, and as a result, he does not make the cut. If one of the 7 defensemen mentioned later do get injured and they cannot play in this tournament, Jokinen would be my first choice to replace them. I do not have a single doubt in my mind that he will make the 2026 team given his progress, however. Jonkari will hopefully be seeing more Liga action after making a single appearance with the senior Pelicans team last year, but he will have to battle for a place in the top 6, especially considering that in free agency, the Liga finalists of the last 2 years just signed another top defensive figure in Wyatt Kalynuk, who has 21 games of NHL experience with Chicago. Jonkari is another case of a decent defenseman that there is just no space for on the team. His point totals are average for a defensive-minded defenseman at the under-20 level, with 14 and 37 with the Pelican squad, but Sebastian Soini and Niklas Nukari are more qualified, and as a result, he is missing the 23. If one of those two happens to miss this tournament, Jonkari can be considered for a third-line defensive spot or as a 7th defenseman, going on any line when necessary. The same goes for Korkola, who posted 10 points in 47 games with Tappara's under-20 side, then added 3 assists in 8 playoff appearances. There were quite a few forwards that could be in Ottawa but were not put on the team because there were better selections. Kasper Pikkarainen is probably the most notable, having been drafted in the 3rd round by the New Jersey Devils in the class of 2024, 85th overall. The purpose of the Finnish hockey academies is to develop playmakers that work with the lines around them, and Pikkarainen is a decent example of that. He passes with both his forehand and backhand, and while the right wing is his usual side, he is decent on the left corners of the ice as well. I mentioned that his primary weakness is the fact that he relies on his passing so much that he gives away the puck on occasion when the defense converges on him, or if he cannot launch a decent initial shot. He will have time in Red Deer in the WHL, meaning that he may be considered again if he adapts well to the North American ice sheet, and maybe I will be revising these projections in October or November video, but for a preliminary list, there are 4 right-wingers that have so much more experience at a more challenging level in Liga, and have shown that their shooting ability is just as good as their passing. Thus, Pikkarainen is off the list, but again, 2026 is still open for him, and if he develops well in some aspects, then he will be one of the top members of that forward group. Tom Leppä is another player that could make the group, but will likely miss out due to the center options Finland has available, 2 of which are eligible for the 2025 NHL entry draft. He recorded just under half a point in the USHL with the Fargo Force and built on his case for an entry to the NCAA, with 5 points in 12 playoff games, 4 of those goals. He did end up getting a spot on an NCAA team, committing to Michigan Tech for the 2024-25 season. He had a decent point total with the under-20 team in the 2023-24 friendlies, registering 3 goals and an assist in 6 games, but since then he has not left too much of an impression on those in Finnish hockey scouting, only recording a single point in 7 games and spending more time in the penalty box, with Finland shorthanded for 10 minutes during that span. If he performs well in the CCHA, maybe he gets a spot as a 4th-line center or as a 13th forward, but Kasper Pikkarainen has even more of a chance at the current moment than he does. Samuel Salinen, Tuomas Suoniemi, and Max Vestergaard are the other 3 notable names that did not make it, even though they are all 2025 eligible. Suoniemi was not drafted last year, so this will be his second chance to leave an impression on NHL scouts, and his point totals were decent at the Under-18 World Championship, recording 5 points in 7 games. He will be getting some Liga experience if he gets promoted to Kiekko Espool's main team, but he is falling behind Arttu Alasirua and Topias Hyninen for a possible place on the team because he only recorded 1 point in the recent international window, while they prove that they can consistently perform well with the team around them. Salinen has no national team experience yet, despite recording over a point per game in the Under-18 SM Sarja. It is unknown if that point total can remain the same in the Under-20 SM Sarja, but that is doubtful, and he has not even had experience with the Finnish Under-18 national team yet. Max Vestergaard is projected to be a late first round or early second round pick at the 2025 NHL entry draft. He has no experience with the under 20 team compared to the players on the projected roster, but he may get some time on the ice in the autumn friendlies. While he does have the speed and can play physical hockey with a decent shooting ability, he lacks in a few categories, such as his ability to turn and be actively involved on both sides of the ice, leaving a few open gaps exposed for opponents. Vestergaard and Jasso Mansonen both show promise and will most likely be top forwards for the 2026 team and maybe 2027 too, but they also do not make the current list due to the selections at both left wing, which is where Vestergaard tends to play, and center ahead of their draft years. Vestergaard was especially a difficult decision to make, but Heikki Ruohonen and Rasmus Kumpulainen have both performed better at more elite levels, and so for now, he's on the outside looking in. In the October or November revision, just like with Pikkarainen and Leppä, he may be in the 23 depending on how much time Lauri Mikkola gives him on the under-20 squad. Now we can go into the players that did make the cut, starting with the goaltenders. The three goaltenders I've selected are Emil Vini of HIFK in Liiga, Petteri Rimpinen of Kiekko Espoo in Liiga, and Kim Saarinen of HPK in Liiga. The way I see it, Vini or Rimpinen will be the starter because they're almost guaranteed to be getting a significant amount of experience in Liiga and will benefit massively because of it. Saarinen's situation is still up in the air as to whether he stays with the under-20 team or gets promoted, since his older brother Kai and last year's starter Sami Rainiemi are going to be battling for the starting spot in this season. Vini especially fits the criteria as he was back up at the last World Junior Tournament, not playing a match but getting to be a part of the experience firsthand. He has played in 5 friendlies since, winning all 5 of them with a 1.39 goals against average and a 942 save percentage. He also spent some time with some of his possible teammates on the under-19 team, winning all 3 of those games as well. As I mentioned in the first video of 2 reviewing the Finnish prospects selected at the 2024 NHL entry draft, Vini is not the goaltender he was 2 or 3 years ago in his new way of goaltending, taking everything into account and not making premature moves to jump into the play and let in easy goals, shows that he is really deserving of his place as the number 1. Rimpinen will be alternating in goal for new Liiga side Kiekko Espoo with Marcus Hellgren-Smid as the other netminder. He performed well in the under-20 SM Saudi, but it took him some time to adapt to Mestis, ultimately finishing the regular season with a 1.94 goals against average and a 925 save percentage in that league. With the under-18 national team, he posted a 7-7-0 record in 10 appearances with a 1.94 goals against average. He played 4 out of Finland's 5 games at the under-18 World Championship and since then played in a friendly for the under-20 side. Saarinen spent most of his year in the under-20 SM Saudi with a 14-5-0 record, a 917 save percentage, and a 2.41 goals against average. His 2 appearances at the senior level were decent, and he won both of his under-20 friendlies so far with a 1.59 goals against average. If Rimpinen becomes a starter, then Vini will be the backup guaranteed. But in the most likely scenario that Vini is a starter, Saarinen may be able to compete with Rimpinen or leave a more lasting impact on Mikkola and the staff if he continues with decent performances internationally, regardless of if Rimpinen makes the team for those friendlies or not. I went into some more detail about Vini and Saarinen in an earlier video, which you can find in the description below. Now we will look at the defense, starting with the first defensive line of Emil Pieniniemi and Veikko Väisänen. First lines usually have two-way defensemen, players that can contribute on both sides of the ice. Pieniniemi is decent with his on-puck and off-puck movement, turns with ease, and tends to push opponents from the face-off circles in the opposing zone, pinning them to the boards so that someone else can win possession back. He played 38 games in Liiga last season, so he has more experience against stronger players, which makes facing other under-20 players not as difficult. He has also gone on a scoring spree in international friendlies with 4 points in 4 games in 2024-25 after recording just 3 points in 14 appearances the previous year. As for Väisänen, I reviewed his style of play in a prior video and determined that he waits for something to happen before making a calculated final decision on when to shoot for goal with the hard shot he has or pass in front. I also determined that his skating was not the best, definitely stood out among his weaknesses, but that could be worked on by the KK Academy for a few weeks. This would be Pieniniemi's second World Junior Championship, as he played all 7 matches with last year's team, and Väisänen's first after 2 consecutive Under-18 World Championship tournaments. The second defensive line features Aron Kiviharju of HIFK in Liga and Sebastian Soini of Ilves in Liga. Coincidentally, both are Minnesota Wild prospects, drafted 18 picks apart at 122nd and 140th in 2024. Soini is the defensive-minded defenseman of the two, as he is someone that will pressure opponents from the sides and behind and try to get a decent hit. He is a very fast skater, but his attacking play is not too notable, which is why his line mate comes into play. Kiviharju is also quite a fast skater, but tends to play out of position, emphasizing his forward-like qualities by consistently making decent passes and quarterbacking from the point when on special teams. Soini being there guarantees that there is someone that can defend the counterattack from the very beginning, and Kiviharju jumps into the play a split second later, although if he gets pushed to the sides, the latter can be thrown off balance. If they can play on the same line here with that attacking defensive mix and it works well, it will help them with their long-term development in Iowa, and they can both get to the NHL sooner than currently expected. Kiviharju's 2023-24 season was cut short due to injury after just 7 games with his new team, recording only 2 points, and he missed last year's World Junior Championship because of that injury. He was captain of the Under-18 team at that World Championship in April, however, recording 3 assists in 5 games. Soini played at the Under-18 and Under-20 SM Sardias last season, as well as in Liga and Mestis. At the senior level, he played 38 games combined in the regular season with 9 assists. The third line pairing has 2 purely defensive-minded defensemen in Kalle Kangas and Niklas Nykäri. Kangas was a 7th-round pick by the Pittsburgh Penguins in the 2023 draft and matched his point total in his draft year with his rookie year at the senior level, posting 9 points in 40 games in Mestis with the senior Jokerit side after 9 points in 42 with the Under-20 SM Sardia team. With the Under-20 team, he has 4 assists in 5 games already, so everything shows, both at the club and international levels, that he's having a really good year and is adapting well to more elite levels. He will be playing next season with HPK in Liga, likely to be on the 3rd defensive pairing there as that team looks to return to success. Nykäri played 43 games with the Under-20 side of HIFK, recording 3 goals and 19 points, and also had a decent Under-18 World Championship on home ice in Espoo and Vantaa, posting a goal and 2 assists in 5 games. Kangas is better with his passing than Nykäri is, dishing the puck almost immediately after receiving it when there is no one converging on him, and is also great in carries from the neutral zone to the attacking. Kangas' main problem is his positioning, especially when it comes to counterattacks, something Nykäri manages well, and he also needs to work on his shot, particularly from the points where he shoots often but not effectively. Nykäri makes very calculated decisions about his play, but he has 2 major weaknesses that hamper his game: speed and turnovers. He does not need to skate fast to make interceptions at the central areas of the ice, stopping counterattacks at the source, but there is a clear difference between him and others on his line when it comes to the 200-foot game. He also makes very poor decisions with his passing, especially when it comes to long-range passes from his own end to the neutral zone. That is especially detrimental when the United States, and especially Canada, are the opponents in the groups, as we have seen countless occurrences of these 2 teams taking advantage and scoring from the left or right side of the low slot with so much open space available. Arto Tohkala, who plays with Luleå in the Under-20 division of hockey in Sweden, would be the 7th defenseman for this team, playing whenever one of the main 6 needs a break or when Finland is short a man due to injury. Having a 7th defenseman to use in any situation is beneficial, as it gives the team an alternative if one of the members of the team is not doing particularly well on a given evening and a change needs to be made mid-game. Tohkala can play well in either role, top 6 or 7th, but would especially thrive in this one, bringing a 2-way defensive and attacking flair with an above-average passing ability to a line that may need it after recording just over half a point per game at club level last season, 23 in 45 appearances. With the Under-19 team last year, he had 3 points in 4 games, but posted an assist in 7 games this year with Mikkola's Under-20 side, thus he needs to pick up from where he left off to fully earn his spot on the team. He will most likely be a part of the upcoming friendlies in November, and that will be a massive boost to getting results with this team. To summarize, the first line is attacking driven, the second line is a mix, the third line is purely defensive, and then you have the 7th defenseman that can play on both sides of the ice. With defensive lines, you want balance, and this is what the Finnish national team could have if they go with these options. That is it for this video. In the next one, we will look at the 13 forwards that made the team and which lines they may be the most successful with. If you found this video interesting, please give it a like or subscribe for more Finnish hockey content like this. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave one down below. Predicting teams is always hard, and especially when there are so many decent prospects available with only 23 to make it to the main championship. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.